Hello my fellow degenerates, my name is Billy and welcome to the AVN channel's review of Artemis. Artemis is a story-heavy adult visual novel that focuses more on the characters and building relationships than on the loot. Developed by Digi.B, it's currently on Chapter 4, or Book 1, on Steam, and up to Chapter 5 available on Patreon and itch for PC, Mac and Linux.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your story. Honestly, don't be scared to tell me more.
You play as a nameable MC who is essentially a genius software engineer, however recently he has lost his confidence in his skills and in himself, all due to a crappy relationship. Haven't we all been there? This relationship was with Cassandra, his ex, an absolute bitch. Honestly, you don't realise how much she has truly taken from him unless you follow a certain girl's path. At first you think it's just his life's work and all his money, which is bad enough, but she has taken so much more, so much more. However, when he finally reaches the end of his tether and decides just to end it all, his luck would strike and his now therapist Claire, or as he calls her DK, manages to find him and stop him throwing it all away. She's basically took him into therapy sessions for the last 3 years, free of charge or so it seems, and that's when we finally jump into the MC's shoes. We take over when he was just finished his last session, after 3 years, and the doc allows him to spread his wings and release him upon the world. Leaving the doctors, he's in a happy mood, cheerful, he has a skip in his step or whatever they say. However, this all kind of goes out the window straight away when he returns home and finds out he's being evicted. Yes, he may have got his therapy for free, but unfortunately without a job you don't get your house for free.
This is a free country, it's not rent-free country.
And talking about jobs, he also gets a door slammed in his face from every potential job that he applies for, despite being an absolute genius. But the MC's luck finally kicks in once again, and after being turned down from yet another job interview, he sits in his car and begins beeping his horn, slamming about the place until a girl passes by, who just happens to be an old high school friend of his. After realising that he isn't trying to catcall her, and noticing who he is, she invites him to grab something to eat and catch up. After a nice conversation, she sees how much of a crappy place he's in at the moment and invites him to live with her. It also just happens to be that this girl is a genius herself. However, she's a mechanical engineer. Her parents, the Capellettis, a power couple of engineering, were famous for their work in technology. Unfortunately, they passed away before revealing their biggest work. But fortunately, they left everything to Kendra. But she hasn't been doing anything with it since, and the world believes Capelletti Industries is no longer in operation. Now reconnecting with her old friend and high school project partner, the MC, she decides to ask if he would like to work on a top secret project in which he will eventually agree to help with. Enter Artemis. Despite the game actually being named Artemis, it's not actually about Artemis. At least not for much in Book 1. It more or less focuses on the MC trying to get his life back together and building these relationships with the new people in his life. It's not until at least Chapter 5, the beginning of Book 2, that we actually meet Artemis properly. Up until that point, the MC is just mainly working on a code and working with Kindra to get the android up and running. This may make you think the game is rather slow, but honestly it's not. It's actually very well paced. We do get straight into the story, but at the same time we're getting enough background from the MC to understand him at least and to relate to him. And in regards to relationships in the game, barring 1 or 2 interactions, they're not actually that rushed, and they're not just about the loot scenes. So if you're sat with your cock in your hand, it's going to be a while before you can make it squawk. So far the relationships have been quite realistic representations as far as an adult visual novel goes, because the girls aren't just going to put it out for the sake of it being a visual novel. But we will discuss more about the relationships later. Speaking of girls, most of them actually come from a sorority that the MC end up being an honorary member of. Can you be a member of a sorority as a male? Honorary or not? He meets the sorority through his friend June Moon, when they ask him to do a task for them. He hits it off with most of these girls straight away, and each and every one of them are also geniuses apparently, since they do require a 3.75 GPA to enter the sorority. I'm British, I have no clue whether that's a good GPA, but according to the game it makes it sound like it is, so I presume they're all really smart.
I'm Caleb.
Hello, Caleb.
Do you have a name?
Ava.
So the characters in this game are the highlight of it all. For the most part, how they act and the way the relationships are built are probably one of the most believable for adult visual novels. And one of the most relatable is actually the MC. Our MC is a software engineer and a genius one at that. Eat your heart out, Linus Torvalds. Despite this anomaly in his character, he is still very relatable. He has had significantly bad relationships that's fucked him up in the past. He's out of work, seriously struggling to get by and trying to make ends meet. He's just having a pretty shit time of life at the moment, basically, but overall he's just a good guy trying to get by, and we've all been in this situation before, when things just seem not to be going our way, and this makes us root for him. We want to see him win. It's easy to see a bit of yourself in the MC. I mean, for me, I can relate to the size of his, his manliness. Yep. In all seriousness though, when we see things going his way, it makes us feel good. It's a win for the good guy. It's also through him why we develop connections for the other characters. We like June and Kindra because we all want someone like that in our life, and it's not just about the appearance or the sex, but someone who's truly on our side, someone to hold us in those cold winter nights. At the same time, we hate Cassandra because fuck that bitch. Speaking of Cassandra or Voldemort, she is pure evil. I would say Disney levels of villainous, but she goes way beyond that. I feel like sometimes Digi.B just made her too evil to be believable, but some scenes he tries to humanize her, and it's like trying to make us sympathize with her. She wants to be Thanos.
I finally rest. Watch the sunrise on a grateful universe.
Seriously, he's the bad guy, but because he believes he has to do what no one else can, and it's all for the greater good in his head. But it doesn't work with Cassandra. Doesn't matter if she believes it's for the greater good, because she's just evil due to greed. So that bitch. I have no reason to care for her, so don't try to make me. Plus, she bullied Kindra, so yeah, she can burn in hell. Ah yes, little Kindra Capoletti, our high school project partner. The shy nerd girl turns into a fun-loving wild woman. She's a few years younger than us, and she was actually bullied in high school as she moved ahead a few years because she's basically a mini Einstein. During these years, the MC took a liking to her, not like that, you sick fucks, like his little sister, and they worked on their high school projects together. A little robo-dog named Coco. Who's a good girl? Yes you are. Oh yes you are, you good go. As a thanks, she takes him in his time of need. She's the heir to the Capuletti Industries, but since her parents died, she's let it fade away. Now, with the help of the MC, she wants to revive it. Again, despite her rare upbringing and circumstances, she is relatable. She just wants to enjoy life and have fun, but also understands her responsibilities and lives a kind of split life between the two personas. But a time will come when she will have to choose. It's a time that comes for most of us, the time we must grow up and accept our responsibilities. Unfortunately, for some of us, that means putting your dreams behind us, or at least finding new ones that'll fit in with the new lifestyle. Despite her being a rich genius, we still understand her struggles and her fears. What if we make the wrong choice? What if we make the right choice and we fail? What happened to Schrodinger's cat? Is it dead or is it alive? Miss June Moon is another of the MC's girlfriend, and significantly more attractive than his first girlfriend. However, she's not evil, like Cassandra. He met her after what Cassandra did, and due to both of their scars from previous relationships, they both felt it was too soon and decided to remain friends. Yeah, right. Even the Pope ain't wanting to stay friends with her. Bro, you got friend-zoned. Now they're close friends and both can confide in each other when things get hard. This is why she becomes so distraught and worried for the MC when something happens and he decides not to talk to her about it. She got over her issues by keeping herself busy and distracted, but that led to her not giving enough time for those that she cares about. Another reason why she becomes worried for the MC, because she believes that she wasn't there enough for him. Yet another relatable character. She may be another genius, but her coping mechanisms is something many of us are all too familiar with. Distracting yourselves to avoid the problems, procrastinating. It can help sometimes, but it can be done to the point where it becomes detrimental to ourselves, like in June's case here. Paige is a leader of the Ink sorority. We don't get to spend a significant time with the girls from the sorority individually just yet, but we do learn quite a bit about them. On the surface, Paige seems like she has everything under control. She seems confident, like she's where she wants to be, but in reality, it's rather the opposite. She doesn't want to lead the sorority, but she doesn't want to let her friends down. She has a big heart, but sometimes this becomes a problem. She often cares about others more than she does herself. The next girl in the sorority is Katie Sato. On first impression, she, but to put it bluntly, seems like the stereotypical sorority slut. I mean, we literally can rail her within the first 5 minutes of meeting her. In her defense though, this doesn't seem to be one of those attempts to be accepted or wanting attention. just simply knows what she wants and isn't afraid to go for it. I like it. I appreciate it. She also has a creative side, and not only that, she enjoys reading AVNs herself. I wonder if she's subscribed to that new awesome YouTube channel for AVNs. What's it called? Yeah, that's it. IGN. The albino beauty, Zelda Zimmerman, the sorority's resident vampire lawyer. In comparison to the other girls in the sorority, she's very quiet and reserved. She tries to put on a serious demeanour, but the more time the MC spends with her, the more he cracks this wall of hers, and we see her light-hearted, fun girl, with an almost childlike innocence, giggling and smirking at the MC's immaturity and joke. But she's also insecure about her condition, and I think this is why the MC grows on her. It's like she realises that this doesn't really bother him, and in fact it's her uniqueness with her that makes her stand out to him, to the point where she even isn't offended when he makes light-hearted and fun jokes about it, because she knows he's not doing it in an offensive way. She's just trying to cheer her up. Naomi is a hard-ass, take no shit kind of woman. She's studying criminology whilst working at the police department, and she's a tough one to crack, but she does have her soft side for those that she allows to get close. She's caring and considerate, but people have to earn it. If we follow her path, we see that she has her own traumas, but we still don't know what that is at this point. But similar to the MC, she has difficulty trusting, and I feel this is why she can relate to the MC. Reina Vasquez, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm gonna go for it. Reina is the previous president of Inc., handing it to Paige when she graduated. She's a businesswoman and started a company to help other businesses get off the ground. Outside of business, we don't see much interaction with her, but what we do see is that she has her business persona and her personal persona. During business hours, she seems like she has her shit together and she knows what she's doing, but just like the rest of us, she hasn't a goddamn clue and is just winging it through life, hoping for the best. Dr. Claire Carahadian, the Doc, DK, the woman the MC owes his life to. We have little interaction with her in a game, and when we do, it's usually about helping the MC rather than learning more about her. She does seem to generally care about the MC. I mean, she refuses the payment for sessions, knowing that he has little money at the time. And once the sessions are over, she still refuses because now she's meeting him as a friend and not as a therapist. We finally do learn a bit about her personal life. We see that she too has a fair share of problems and simply just trying to cope with life. Veronica is another girl we get a bio for, meaning that she's probably going to be one of the main girls. She's a cam girl and has some serious coding knowledge, like the MC. But at this point, there's very little interaction with her, and to be honest with her, her bio page was still blacked out, I believe, so I'm only guessing that that's going to be her, but it's going to be her. Last but not least, we have the lady herself. Android herself, itself. Artemis. She has a bio like she's a main love interest, however her path may be a strange one. Up until this point, we've only really dealt with her in chapter 5, and it's mainly teaching her about the world. It's more of a parent-child relationship. She can barely speak and is very childlike in nature, but despite this, she still has a big personality and is a great character. Honestly, she's hilarious, and you don't even need to try. There are clearly other girls, even one that you can actually have a sexual interaction with in the story so far. However, these characters don't have bios, so I'm not sure whether you're going to see a serious route for them. I have to say at this point though, I don't know if this will be a harem game or not. It could go either way, but the relationships are being slowly built and there isn't any rushing into them. As with most AVNs, simply spending time with a girl would lead you straight to the lewd, but in this game it doesn't. Any sexual interactions feel like they have a purpose and they're not just thrown in for the sake of boobs. And as you can see, on top of the slower relationships, each character has their own personalities, including likes, dislikes and their flaws. This helps create believable, likable and relatable characters, which is absolutely essential for a story like this.
What exactly do you do around here?
I make the robots seem more human.
As is an arm with AVNs, one of the main mechanics is a dialogue choice system. But does it really affect the game? At this point, the choices only affect what girls you spend time with and how they interact with you. Beyond this, choices don't really affect the main plot so far. There are minigames that you can choose to turn off whenever you please, however they are not very significant in regards to the complexity, but they do actually have an effect on the game. Most are just select the correct dialogue option. For example, a flashback to training with your mother. You can choose to be offensive, defensive or anticipate. Despite its simplicity, it does affect what happens in future scenes. If you beat her, different options become available and the MC responds in different ways than he would if he loses. There's a few quick time minigames where you have a certain amount of time to click the relevant buttons in the correct order, typical quick time style. And then there's an anagram type of game where the words are muddled up and you have to arrange the letters in the correct order based on a subject matter. and then a mini little shooting game. They're nothing too difficult, but if you do switch them off, it means that you will have a set scene at these moments because the game will skip the minigame sequence. So it may be a case that you instantly lose against your mum, or you instantly fail the quick time events, or instantly pass them, depending on the story. I'm not sure if these are affected by anything prior if you have minigames turned off. Finally, Artemis herself does have her own mechanic. It's called the Discernment Protocol. It's kind of like an affinity system. Once you're teaching Artemis and some responses, you have the option to make her empathetic or make her firm. For example, you could scold her and shout at her when she runs off at one point. Well, she don't run off. You stop watching her and she just walks off like a child would. So MC, this is your fault. It is not Artemis' fault. She is like a child. Watch her. She didn't run away either way. So she walks off, and then you can choose to scold her for walking off or running off and shout at her and say, yeah, that's naughty and don't do it. Or you could turn around and say, Artemis, please don't run away like that. It made me nervous. It scared me. I didn't know where you were. Please don't do that again. I care for you and I don't want you to get hurt. And be nice to her, which is the way you should respond, because she's like childlike in nature, and the fact that she walked off is not her fault for walking off. It's just general curiosity of children, and it's your fault for not watching her, MC. So don't and shout at her. Now I'm shouting at you. Look what we've come to. Anyway, but so far I'm not too sure how this kind of affects the game, whether she's more empathetic or more firm. But Digi.B does explain how this choice will come up in the future and how it will affect the gameplay art itself.
What a beauty you are. They have improved us so much.
Okay, so I want to preface this section with the fact that Digi.B suffers from keratoconus. It's a condition that affects your eyesight. So a lot of Chapter 1 renders look blurry until Digi.B received his corrective contact lenses. So I will take this into account, and any early renders that aren't clear will be ignored in regards to the review. This is also due to Digi.B stating that he will be redoing these renders. However, this is a double-edged blade, as the only issue I have with this is that it would take time away from development of the current chapters. And personally, I'd rather him leave them till the game is complete and come back and redo them then, and just focus on the upcoming content, because the renders after this look great. They're clear and well presented, reflector surfaces look nice, and the lighting is good. Sweat, however, looks god awful. Honest to God, it's not until later on in the game where the wet effects look like they're relatively decent, but near the start of the game, if a character's wet from being in a bath, shower, rain, sweat, whatever, it's like they got glue on them. It's like they've been dipped in glue. It's not water. It's like they've been intending a bukkake or something. Anyway, the characters themselves can be a bit of a mixed bag. Some look good, but when they smile, they look kind of creepy. However, some don't look very impressive, and this isn't to say that they are unattractive, they just don't look right. But Digi.B has changed some of these characters in the later chapters and they look a lot better, and if he is going back and remastering previous chapters, hopefully he'll put the new versions of these characters in there instead, removing the old, weird, scary Baba Yaga versions. One thing I do like though is how to explain micro animations within the renders. Someone tapping their fingers, blinking or rolling background when somebody's driving. Somebody sat at a table actually eating food. Like, look at this. Don't get me wrong, they're only small things, and some of them may not be fully animated, just 2 or 3 still images rotating, but they add this little character and flair to the scene. And the render variety is good as well. We don't linger on the same render for too long, and if it is on one of these same renders for a while, again, you've got these little animations going on during them, so it kind of keeps it fresh. In regards to the actual animations, there are a few non-routine animations, and they do look good, but they're mostly used just to add impact to a scene. But my favourite part of the visuals apparently is the UI, and while the main menu and the pause menus look fantastic, I really do like them, there are actually 2 UIs though. To explain, I first bought the game through Steam on Chapter 4, then I decided I wanted to go to Chapter 5, so I went and got the current update, and I got that from Patreon, and I used that update to update the Steam version. Now the game still works absolutely fine, he just made it so I can no longer receive achievements from Steam, but I don't care about them anyway. However, what you will notice is that my UI will change in the video back and forth, so I want to discuss both. So to start, both UIs have a text box, but the fonts and the colours of the text are easily readable, and the character's name are different colours, and it makes them stand out. The Steam UI at this point is a solid blue, and the character's name are different colours, and it makes them stand out. box with a pattern to fit in with the sci-fi theme. It actually doesn't look too bad as far as text boxes go, but I'm really not a fan of anything that unnecessarily blocks a render. The Patreon updated UI still has a text box, however it's more of a transparent black box that, and whilst it's still a text box, if you're going to use a text box, this is the best way. It helps the text pop out while still showing a good amount of the render, and it just looks a lot cleaner as well.
You'll get used to that. It's a directional voice, only you can hear it since you're holding it.
The music in the game is good. It's suitable for the game and it fits nicely into it for the most part. It's not really going to win any awards for it, but it goes okay with the game and it just seems like your standard visual novel kind of music. Or maybe slightly above average. Digi.B does state in the game that he will be getting a soundtrack created for it, so most of the music will be replaced. Now I don't know if this has happened yet or if we're still listening to the old music though. I can't complain about the music, but it ain't going to be making me add it to a playlist anytime soon. The ambient noise on the other hand is actually really good. A lot of scenes have it and it can really help set the mood, especially when you're up on the roof chilling. Sound effects aren't too bad as well. When they're used they are good, but they're not a significant amount of them. And also the non-existence in the lewd scenes. Please devs, if you want to give your lewd animations a significant boost, simply add sound effects, please.
Did you design Ava's face based on my pornography profile?
Hey, if a search engine's good for anything.
Speaking of lewd, if you are jumping in this game to get a lot of lewd content, you, my friend, are going to be disappointed. It is far from the focus of the story. The game makes relationships make more sense. Girls aren't just going to throw themselves at you. Well, most of them want the MC, but that doesn't mean that they're just going to jump into bed with him. Well, most of them won't. When we do get lewd content, it's only really vanilla flavours. You're not going to get anything extreme out of this. Again, it's more realistic, it's not your typical every woman is a sex addicted nympho kind of game. And the animations, yeah, are okay. Some of them they go into good detail, even with the minor movements of character skin and body parts, whereas sometimes it's basically just a still render with an arm moving up and down. Or the motions just look unnatural in parts, kind of like watching a clockwork machine get it on. So ultimately there is room for improvement in some of the scenes, and if the lewd is your focus you will be disappointed. This game isn't about that. It's not going to be for you. It's about the story.
Are you attracted to me?
What?
Are you attracted to me? You give me indications that you are.
Okay, so best girl. There are 3 girls that piqued my interest in this one. Kendra, June and Zelda. Kendra feels like the perfect match for the MC. June genuinely cares for the MC and knows what he's been through. Also, cracking bear. Finally, Zelda, despite not spending too much time with her so far, she's interesting. She's this stern, serious girl, but when we begin to crack her shell, there looks to be more to her. But let's face it, it's best girl, not best girls. So, Artemis' best girl is Kendra Capulet. Oh, Kendra, our little bundle of joy. Not only is she a love interest in the game, she also acts as the best friend for the MC. And despite her upbeat and fun personality, she still has genuine care and consideration for the MC, and does become distraught at one point where the MC puts himself at risk for her. And despite there only being a single real lewd scene with her so far, which still doesn't actually get to the point of the home run, most of the scenes with her are absolutely great. You can guarantee that you'd walk away smiling or laughing whenever she's in a scene. Or you're just generally feeling bad for being an arsehole and upsetting her. It's the dynamic between the MC and Kendra that I really do enjoy. There's this tension between them, where they know that they're best friends, but they both want to be more, but neither of them really want to admit it. And then when Artemis comes along, they both kind of become this parental role for her, teaching and training her, and this dynamic between them. And I just really enjoy it. It's fun.
We know this already. How about we get to the point?
Just go on, skip it to the end.
So to summarise, Artemis is a story-heavy visual novel, with a focus on characters, and the characters are great, and this game chooses to take a realistic approach to them. Visually it looks good, barring a few blurry renders which are in the progress of being fixed. The girls look good for the most part, but sometimes their smiles look straight out of a creepypasta. And the music is okay, slightly above average, but nothing too special. But the audio stands out on the ambient noise. However, this game isn't for you if you're looking for the lewd. It has some scenes, but they're quite rare, and there's a bigger focus on relationship building. But when all is said and done, would I recommend this game? Yeah, Artemis is a fantastic game. In fact, some of the scenes made me sit back and think about my own life. I found the MC so relatable that sometimes when his friends would say something to him about dealing with his problems, I actually resonated with myself. I feel like this game is judging me. Just remember though, that if you do want a latest update, you will have to pick it up off itch or Patreon, as Steam is only up to chapter 4. It looks like Steam will update with each book is finished. So the next book being book 2, chapter 5 through 8, and by the looks of things, it will get a new chapter every 6 to 12 months, meaning that the earliest we're likely to get book 2 finished is in about 18 months. But still a lot quicker than some games, guys, am I right?